Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to get started on a three-part series dedicated to the Airbus A400M for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Now this is an interesting aircraft. It's kind of like a C-130, but it's a little too big, and at the same time it's not really a C-17 because it's a little too small. It kind of has that just right sort of vibe to it. It is also very much an Airbus airplane, so for people out there looking for an experience where they get to operate something this large and this flexible, I mean, look at how serious the landing gear on this thing. This works really, really well. One thing I will say, though, is there are definitely some bugs that we're going to run into along the way. As they always like to say, it's a work in progress. So let's go ahead and climb aboard and see what we can do here. So first things first, when you come climbing into here, don't be surprised if a bunch of lights are working. It's kind of the default. And one other thing I discovered really quick is if you actually float down here to where it says panel state, there's a cold and dark button. If you push that, it doesn't change anything. If you actually want to cold and dark this airplane, you have to actually shut the batteries off. If you skip that step, of course, naturally everything's going to be all lit up like a high mast, like we had just a few moments ago here. So this aircraft is pretty straightforward. There's a couple little twists and kind of weird business, especially with the tiller. We'll get to that, don't worry. And of course, the FMS on this thing is brand new. For those of you who are familiar with the more traditional Airbus FMS, this thing will definitely give you a run for your money. One thing we will do, though, is before we get too carried away with what's going on up front, they actually modeled the interior of this airplane. So if you kind of climb down, I love the fact they give you the little handles there. You can actually come back here and see the fact we do have an empty airplane. So everybody imagine there's some big, pretty heavy cargo right there. And of course, if we don't want to listen to that all afternoon, you can come back here and close that door as well. So today we're going to be concentrating mostly on the FMS. The next flight, obviously, we're going to deal with takeoff and stuff like that, as well as kind of a system sort of overview. Shh, I know. All right, let's get this thing going. So first things first is that we need to decide how long we're going to be sitting here on the ground. If it's going to be for a while, we probably want to be using the GPU as opposed to be using the APU, only because we don't have to pay for that power. We're not using precious fuel out of this thing. So I'm going to reach up above my head. You'll notice there's an exterior available light here. That just means that we are plugged into the GPU. If for some reason that light is not visible, if you come down here to ground, you'll actually see a thing that says toggle GPU. You can actually come over here and bop that button and actually disable that if that's something you desire. Another thing you'll notice too is we have a couple doors here, and it's really tempting to click on the doors, but it's going to scream at you if you attempt that. And the reason it's going to scream at you is there's no hydraulic pressure in this aircraft, so naturally it ain't going to do much, kind of a thing like that. But we'll fix that in a few moments. So let's go ahead and reach above our heads. So we've got 3 battery switches here. We have the 2 main batteries, and then we have the battery essential bus. You can actually bop that one, and nothing will happen because there's no power to it. So you get the little flicker flackers. If that happens to you, you can just hit the other 2 battery buttons, and your eyeballs go bzzz, depending on what the guy before us actually set all his brightnesses and things to that. I actually don't mind the green glow. I find it makes it a little bit easier to see. If it is something that absolutely irritates you to death, you've got a bunch of different adjustments sitting down here that basically will allow you to run through those capabilities and kind of fiddle with them. I'm just going to adjust my atmospheric pressure here just a tiny bit here, make things a little bit safer. We also have a couple brightnesses down here if you need to. Obviously, if you don't like that, you can crank that all the way back down to 0. Like I said, it's up to you as far as brightness goes. I like a little, like not too much is a good thing, but it's just me. All right, so now we're going to activate the external power. As soon as you do that, you're going to get a lot of lights coming on. So now you have to ask yourself, how hot is it outside? And I know that's a dumb question, but the reason I say this is in the real world, passenger comfort matters. Not that we're really a passenger plane, we're really a military aircraft. So one of the things you could do, of course, is go check this. Is it hot? Is it cold? The fact of the matter is, if it is very, very hot or very cold, you're probably going to get the APU kind of booted up right away, because that's going to enable us to get some air moving around here. But more importantly, one of the things we have, of course, is we have no pressure for our hydraulic systems. If I were to come in here, for example, and run over here one more time and go ahead and click on that button, you'll notice it's still going to yell at us because our blue hydraulic system does not have enough pressure. Now, the interesting thing is, if you actually come up here, you'll see the way that they arrange their hydraulic systems. Basically, you have a couple of engines that contribute to it, and then you have a couple engines that contribute to it. So as you can probably imagine, we're not going to get any hydraulic pressure for a little while here. Now, that's kind of interesting. I would sort of expect there to be some more sort of electrical sort of override, but as far as I can tell, I haven't found one. Obviously, I like the fact you can yield the entire aircraft. That's just kind of fun. I don't know, it's kind of neat. So one of the things I will do while I'm kind of chilling up here, like the battery check is all the way at the top, is I'm going to float up to that button I just promised you that did not exist, and I'm going to go ahead and open it up. I'm going to press on. I told you. I knew that button was there. I knew it. So now, of course, if we wanted to, we can open up the main cargo door, and we'll have some fun here. We'll go kind of run out back. One of the fun things, if you press Shift-C real quickly here, you can actually run all the way. Hustle! I just got the achievement the other day for walking 5 miles or something inside this game, which is just amazing. So let's go ahead and take a look at this thing. Look at this ramp. Oh my goodness. You just want to drive a vehicle up into this thing as it's racing. Now the fun thing here is you can walk like this and nothing happens. So don't get all panicky if that happens to you. Like I said, no big deal. But keep in mind, we do need hydraulic pressure, and we do need to close that thing later on. Otherwise, we shall embarrass ourselves, like I just did. So swinging up here, we're going to want to get our gadiers open. And again, these are going to be your inertial reference units. We want to get those basically fired up immediately. The reason why is they can take a pretty lengthy amount of time. While we're up here, of course, we normally hit the oxygen switch, but apparently we don't need to breathe in this plane, so I'm not going to stress about it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to turn our attention over here to our door control, which is going to have all sorts of good stuff. Obviously, we're open up and we'll be loading. So we have a pretty lengthy journey today, so it's a good time to come in here and go ahead and fiddle a little bit with our payload. We'll assume we're carrying about half payload, which is plenty. And of course, fuel-wise, I think I worked out the math this morning. It's something like 38,000 or something like that. That's about 48,000 kilograms. Once you're done, please press the apply load button. I can't tell you how many times I've taken off with no fuel because I didn't press apply. Now, there's a couple of really important numbers here. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit, making it easier for you. We have our live gross weight, dry weight, max weight, zero fuel weight, and fuel weight. The reason we need those is when we go to program the FMS in a few moments, we're actually going to require those. While I'm here, however, I'm going to go to options real quick and just tell you about this. One thing you'll notice here is I've got my system set to kilograms. I'm fine. Again, it does not matter to me. IRS align time is how long it's going to take. Auto tiller disconnect. Please put that to no. You're going to want to do this by hand, trust me. You only see another one, rudder controls tiller. Please put that to yes, unless you have a separate peripheral for the tiller. That tiller will annoy you to no end. You can see I'm playing with it right now. You have to be careful with this. If you don't do this, you get no newest wheel steering. We have our set for throttle settings. The key thing here is you got to make sure you actually take the time to kind of set it up. Like for me, I have a joystick that has a nice little detent on it right at 75%, so I use that from an MCT setting. You got your flight idle, and obviously you've got your ground idle. You can go through and do it. I don't like reverse on axis, but if you need to set each one, you can basically go through and click these switches. Set your throttle, click the switch, set your throttle, click the switch, and basically blast through it just like that. Like I said, it's just one more thing that's going to make me crazy. Now, you'll notice we have a very aggressive sim brief integration here. It actually works really, really, really well. I'm not going to use it because I'm stupid, but the real thing is if you're going to fly this plane a lot, please just use SimBrief to import the flight plan because it's going to take you forever. You'll know what I mean when you go to give it a try. All right, speaking of taking forever, let's go ahead and get some of this party started here. So I'm going to let some folks know the fact that we are indeed around. We do have hydraulic pumps going, so we should flip that one. While I'm up here, I'm going to go ahead and arm some seats. I'm going to arm some emergency lights just to make sure that's good. Like I said, I'm just going to assume it's like nice and comfortable today, so I'm going to leave those switches alone for now. So let's go ahead and float down here. All right, the FMS in this aircraft is unique. For those of you familiar with the Airbus A380, we can get that while we're here too. It is very similar, and basically what you do is you program each component one page at a time. The strategy I like to use for this is if you go to the active page, you just start it in it and you work your way up. That seems to be the easiest way, at least for me, to do it. And then, of course, when you get that, you've got these little buttons here to kind of rip through your different options, and you'll kind of see what I'm doing. All right, so flight number today, as if there's going to be a flight number other than this number, 64, I'm going to press the enter key. Now, before you say, hey, can you type on your keyboard? No, you can't. So if I come in here and press 64 on my keyboard, nothing happens. You actually got to come down here, sadly, and push that button. So our destination today, we're flying from Uniform Tango Alpha Alpha. Oh, yes, it does sound like it's far away. We're going to be going to Oscar, Papa, Mike, Juliet. That sounds good to me. And we have no alternate here. I guess I could do Karachi or something. Cruise flight level. If you're looking for what flight level should I cruise at, 290 seems to be the magical number here. So I'm going to click right here. I'm going to type in 290, and you can see it automatically captures it. And cruise basically refers to your speed. This is a pretty short flight for us, so I'm going to put it to short range here. At this point, of course, we get to the win page and download all of our wins. You can actually get this clear about 1,000 times here. Oh no, what have I done? I can press company win request. It's going to scream at you and says I can't get it. The reason it'll scream at you is because I didn't set it up over in SimBrief. That's basically what's going on here. So I'm going to return here. That's all set to go. This looks good. This looks good. Error downloading data. Don't worry about it. Like I said, I didn't set up SimBrief. It won't work. So now we're just going to start from the top and work our way down. IRS, if I click in here, you can see our IRS units are basically doing their thing. The checks, looks good to me. Return, we have our departure, so we can select our departure runway and frequencies today. We're going to be taking 11 left today. SID, and we're not going to pick any SID here. We just don't need one. And of course, you can select your transition. The important thing to note here is after you kind of pick the stuff that you want to, when you press the Tempe flight plan, it's going to load it into your flight plan, but it doesn't actually add it to your flight plan. If you actually want to add it, you have to press Insert to Temporary. This is now my actual flight plan. Now, the cool thing here is you see this little Edit button? You can push that to come back to the main page here to make your life a little bit simpler. So I'm just going to continue and working my way down. So nav aids comes next. If you had any specific nav aids, you could dial them in here. For example, I don't know why I would do this, but you could select them for MSFS. You could actually pick the individual ones. Like, I don't know why you would do this, because obviously it's an awfully long flight for us. but you could basically pick one here like that, and you could set it up on, this would be where your ILS frequencies go and stuff like that. Like I said, it's just kind of neat. You can set manual courses, but this is for a whole other video. I'm going to press the return button. I'm happy with that. I'm going to press departure. We did that. We're going to go to fuel and load. This is where you're going to make a mistake. So the first thing it needs is 0 fuel weight. There is no grab it from the company mode. So if I click this, do you see there's no magical button? We have to actually move our heads here. And if I come over here, fuel and payload, 0 fuel weight is 109.6. It makes it real easy. So 109.6. And all I do is press enter when I'm happy with that, which I am. And it's going to say, what would you like for block? Block, basically, if you want to think about it another way. That's what we're starting for weight here. Let's see here. Fuel. 40549, 40.5. 40.5. I'm just going to come up here like that. Oh, helps if you do it correctly the first time. 40.5. I'm going to press enter. Looks good to me. Route reserve. I'm just going to put a 1 ton. Oh, actually, I see. I did it again. I had a Boeing moment. There we go. And again, we're not carrying much. Or if we wanted to do alternate, we could come in here and put an alternate fuel as well. It's not much. And what it's going to do is it's going to basically run through and calculate all the different stuff. So you notice here our route reserve is not showing. And the reason it's not showing is we haven't dialed in the rest of our flight plan. So if we know, for example, that this took 30, for example, I could push that in there. It's going to panic on you because it's not going to make any sense to it. And like I said, until we actually go through and set up our flight plan, it's not going to allow us to do it. One thing that I will point out, though, is you see this little thing that's got a little percentage sign here? That's looking for your center of gravity, which you can actually read right here, 27.6. That makes it a little bit easier. I did it again. Let's come up here, 27.6 while I'm at it. There we go, enter. Cool. We'll come back to this in a minute once we have our flight plan. Actually, CG is up there. Go figure. All right, so let's go back to our page we had before. This is our init page. This looks good to me. Now we have takeoff and performance. Nice thing here is you can actually come up here and press this button. It'll calculate it, and then you can just press insert. The reason that's so great is those are all our V-speeds, and they're all pre-programmed, and I don't have to do anything. Other than the fact there's an up-rated button here, and of course there's a flap setting button here. You can actually set what flaps options. One thing that's a little confusing with this aircraft is if you actually swing down to the flaps lever here, your flaps 1 is not flaps 1. You'll know what I mean the first time you try it. One of the things we could do over here as well is we could, of course, adjust what we're using as far as, like if we're using a shorter runway, we could dial that in here. If we knew that we needed to change anything as far as our transition altitudes, you can come in here. Thrust reduction, everything is all basically built in here. Takeoff data uplink, thank you. Another thing you'll notice too while we're on this page of the FMS is if you press the climb button, there's a lot of different options you have as far as climb performance. One of the things we can do is we can flip this over to short range, for example, and that's going to get us a slightly steeper climb. When we get to the en button, you'll notice that it's all set up for us, ready to go. This is basically our cruise. What they're saying is en route, not entree. I spelled my dyslexia wrong there. And basically, this will give you the ability to dial in some of those features. And again, you can see about 0.71 Mach. So we're moving pretty quick. Coming down, again, you can change any of these modes if you need to. And there's your approach, which is something we'll deal with 2 videos from now, because obviously right now we've got a little ways to go. So that's all set. This is looking pretty good. And like I say, whenever you're ready, you can just go right back to the init page. And you'll see we are now off the bottom of the init page, and we're now ready to enter our actual flight plan itself. Remember, we're going to have to come back to our fuel and load a little later on. So I'm going to go to active now, and we're going to go to the flight plan page. Now, the flight plan page, as you can see, not a lot going on right here. You can see we're basically taking off from this runway. We're popping up to this altitude, and we're coming down. One of the things I like to do at this point is actually like to be very careful and make sure I put my first waypoint in before I start going hard, because otherwise you're going to have all sorts of fun issues. Now, the way this thing works is if you click on something, it'll bring up a little context menu. So, for example, if I wanted to delete this constraint, I could come in here and delete the constraint, or the discontinuity, I should say. I don't actually want to do that. What I want to do is I want to insert my next waypoint. Now, it's going to say, where would you like to go? So you click right here, and you simply, if this happens to you, you can just click the button again, and I'll go to a different page. Yeah, the trick there was just pressing the button. There we go. Got it. So what I'm going to do is carefully click right here. There we go. Got it this time. All right, MSD, Mike Sierra Delta is going to be our first spot. I'm going to go ahead and press enter. It's going to say, is this where you want it to go? And the answer is, yeah, that's where I want to go. So I'm going to select MSD now, and I'm going to go ahead and insert my next waypoint. So I'm going to gently click here and try really hard not to click the thing behind it. It's going to be Kilo Delta Romeo is going to be our next point. So I just come down here and press the enter key just like that. You can see it appears. Click here again. I'm going to say insert next waypoint. Careful. There it goes. Like I said, you got to be kind of careful here. There we go. Nice. This is, wow, this is an interesting one. Kilo Alpha Lima Alpha Tango is going to be our next waypoint there. Looks good to me. Press my insert key. You can see that one's good to go. I'm going to press this one. Let's see here. Now we're going to go on an airway. So I'm going to press the airways button. It's going to say, what airway would you like? The airway today is going to be Juliet 111, just like that. And it's going to say, I'm going to press enter. It's going to say, are you sure about that? Yes, I'm not sure about that because it's the wrong airway. Juliet 115, my apologies. 115, press the enter key. If it worked, this pops up, but I need to pick my 2, and we're going to India, India, Delta, Echo, Bravo, Alpha is where we're headed today. And we'll press enter. I'm happy with that. You're going to press the Tempe flight plan button down here at the bottom and just confirm that that looks okay. And I can see my Juliet airway is set there correctly. So this is now set. This is sort of the flight plan part of the flight. So that's pretty much good to go. Now, since I don't have a transition here, I can actually click on this discontinuity, press delete, and what that will do is just eject it from my flight plan. Now, what we do need to do is figure out how to get on the ground when we get there. So when I click that like that, I'm simply going to do my arrival. So when you hit arrival, you can pick what runway you want to use here. Runway 8 sounds good to us. If we want to specifically pick an approach, we'll do RNAV for 8 there. Looks good to me. There's really not a lot of room where we're coming in today, so I'm not worried about it too much. I'm going to hit Tempe flight plan one more time, and what you'll see here is you still have to press this button to actually insert it into your flight plan. So now when I scroll down here, you can see all the flight plan, basically the waypoints coming down for a landing, and we still have this discontinuity. When I'm ready, I can just click on it, press the delete button. Let's go ahead and scroll to the top here and do a double check. There are no discontinuities left in our flight. Yeah, we have no special approach or anything like that. I'm not really worried about it too much. Looks good to me. Looks good to me. I am very happy with this. If I were you, I would save this, just in case you accidentally. You'll know what I mean when you do it the 50th time. All right, let's see here. Our flight plan is now set. We go back to fuel and load now. Things are a little bit different because, again, we're able to kind of calculate some of those points. Let's see here. What do we say our zero flight was? 27.8, I think it was. 27.8. Press our enter key there. And that's, of course, going to take care of those quick calculations for us. Nice. There it is. Ta-da! As I said, everything would come back together and make more sense later on. So it looks like we're using 8.2 tons of fuel here. It's a 2 hour and 5 minute flight time. Don't worry, I'll fast forward. You don't have to sit here and listen to me for 2 hours. No, so you don't anyway. So that's all set. Final set to good. Good. Like I said, just want to confirm everything looks good to me. Everything looks good to me. I like it. We're pretty much ready to rock here. Flight plan is set. Again, you can check that 100 times. Now, one thing I like to do is whenever I do this page, I like to come over here and set this page to something else. One of the cool things you have is you have this nice little secondary page here. And one of the things you can actually do, which is wild, is if you press the import key, you can actually import the secondary flight plan in the event that you accidentally bust the first flight plan. And the reason this is kind of fun is you can really use this to like fiddle with things, and you can see everything's broken down for us. It's just kind of neat, and you can actually swap it with the active flight plan at the press of a button in the event that, let's say, you wanted to have an emergency switch or something. You can actually have up to 3 of these secondary flight plans at a time. And I just think that's kind of cool if you ask me. So that's neat. If you go to the data page, you can always go to status and kind of see how everything's all kind of pre-programmed. One of the other cool things, if you go to waypoint, you can actually pick a specific waypoint, dial it in, and actually get details for it if that's something you need. And of course, if you want to get some details about the airport. So for example, if I actually wanted to take a look at how our destination is doing here, come down a page here. Let's see here, OPMJ. We're going to click right here. And Oscar, Papa, Mike, Juliet, enter. And you can see right there, it's actually going to break it down. I'm not even going to pretend to be able to pronounce that. If I take runway 8, for example, you can actually see like the course and like latitude, longitude. It's actually really, really cool how sophisticated this FMS is. All right. We are in fantastic shape. Our FMS has been programmed. Everything is good to go. One of the things we can do, if we just wanted to be extra careful here, is if you actually come over here, you can crank this thing to the plan page, and that'll give you the ability to basically double check to make sure everything in your flight is working. So now when I press these arrows, you can actually check your flight plan one at a time. We'll go ahead and crank up the range a little bit here so it's a little easier to see. There we go. So now we can just visually check each one of our flight plan positions, and they look wonderful. There's our takeoff. You can see we're flying all the way down here over all sorts of interesting airspace. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can take a look at that last part of our flight. And it looks pretty good to me. Come on down. And there is Oscar, Papa, Mike, Juliet, just like we hoped. With that all taken care of, I can go snap it back to ARC mode. I'm a big ARC mode. I know there are people out there who absolutely swear by, map mode or VOR mode. I don't know. Nav mode's fine for me. Like I said, I'm a big ARC fan because it's just easier for me. Again, I'm a Boeing guy. I'm not an Airbus guy, as everybody knows. But I find that works well for me. Use what works for you. All right, let's go scroll to the top. And now we are all set and ready to go. So this flight plan is set. If you were doing this flight along with us, this would be the point to go ahead and save and make sure everything's okay before we proceed. So in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to pick up where we left off. We're going to get airborne and do some cruising, fiddle with the autopilot. And then in the third video, of course, we'll bring this thing on the ground. Enjoy.